You have been wearing your shoes wrong. Okay, well, I've been wearing my shoes wrong, and maybe you are too. So I'm super passionate about this subject because it is, I kid you not, life-changing. So let's get into it. I'm not sure where I read this, but it turns out that most women buy shoes that are way too small for their feet. I'm not sure why this happens, but my guess is that we get used to a certain size when we're growing up, when we start paying attention to what size feet we have. We know we have to size up clothes when we start growing and we get taller, and sometimes we lose weight or we gain weight, but I don't think we pay much attention to that when it comes to shoes. So I feel we lock ourselves into a certain shoe size and we just keep buying the same size even if our feet changes during our life. And I do feel that our feet change during our life. So I think that's why this phenomenon happens. My first hack is to try on shoes that is half a size or a size larger than what you normally consider your size. I always considered myself a 7.5, which is this shoe right here. It's actually a 7, okay? And it is so tight on my foot. And nowadays, I don't buy anything that is below an 8, which is this shoe right here. And if we compare both of them, you can see how clearly this one does have a pointier toe, but you can see how one is much larger. This one is much larger than this one, and this one actually fits my foot well. So can you imagine me trying to squeeze my foot into this one, which is a whole size smaller? It's just insanity. The difference it makes to wear shoes that actually fit your feet is insane. It sounds simple, but try sizing up from what you normally wear and see where it gets you. Now let's talk about my second hack. We normally buy shoes thinking in terms of the length of the shoe compared to our foot. And what we don't always take into consideration is the width of the shoe. So we always take in consideration this measurement if it fits our foot this way, and we don't really consider if it fits our foot in the widest part of our foot. So sometimes you have a very short foot, it's not a long foot, but you have a very wide foot. And if you're only taking in consideration the length of your foot and the shoe, you might find that your shoes are uncomfortable because they don't fit the widest part of your foot. So my hack is to experiment buying for the largest part of your foot. So if that's the width of your foot, if it's this girth right here, you should definitely try to find shoes that fit that before they fit the length of your foot. What might happen when you do that is, and size up so it could fit this wider part of your foot, is that the length might be a little bit too big. And in this case, we're going to go into my third hack, which is shoe inserts. I found a video a while back where a shoemaker talks about what are the common issues that people find with their shoes and how to fix them. And one of the solutions that she gives is shoe inserts. So shoe inserts are just those pads that you buy that you stick inside your shoes to make them conform better to your feet. So if you do buy your shoe based on the width, for example, and then you have to size up and then it starts getting a little bit too big on your foot in this dimension, you can always buy some inserts to put in the back. That's what I did here with this shoe. This way it fits correctly at your widest part, but now also is adjusted to the length of your foot. What I also like to do for heels is to buy the ball of foot inserts, which is the silicone insert, as you can see right here in this shoe. I've done this for practically all of my heels now. We have a layer of fat under our feet, right at the ball of our feet. And as we get older and stand on them for many years, that layer of fat kind of distributes more evenly and starts getting thinner. And it gets thinner right where we have that bone. And so what happens is that can cause pain while wearing high heels or heels in general. And that's what happens for me. So I can't wear high heels at all anymore without extreme pain and discomfort while I'm wearing them. And it actually extends itself for a few days after I've worn the high heel. So the way I have learned to get around that is using these ball of heel cushions, which does help a lot to cushion this area where I don't have that extra padding of fat anymore. What also helps is to buy heels that are smaller and also thicker instead of taller and thinner heels. And speaking of heels, here goes my fourth hack. When going to buy new shoes, make sure to go at the end of the day, a day that you have already been standing around or walking around for quite some time, so that your foot is at its widest and also where it's a little bit swollen from the day-to-day activity. And that's going to best represent your shoe size in comparison to if you had gone early in the morning. What I also recommend is you take the inserts that you know you're probably going to need to put into your shoes when you go try them on. When I go to buy heels, I know I have to take that ball of foot cushioning that I talked about. I also take the heel padding so I can put them inside the shoes when I'm trying them on, because padding can bring up your shoe size a half to even a whole size larger than what you normally wear. And that's already considering that we've already been sizing up, right? From my experience, if I try on shoes without the inserts and try to put them in later, the shoe does get a little bit tight. So I do recommend you taking them with you when trying on new pairs of shoes. I also recommend putting in little round inserts where you normally get friction and chafing in the types of shoes you wear, so it can minimize that blistering that nobody wants. And speaking of blistering, let's go on to my fifth hack. If you like wearing flats but always get friction blisters on the back of your feet, these inserts might help, but what I ultimately found to resolve the problem without even putting in inserts, you don't need to adjust it for size. They can be a little bit expensive because you have to buy one for each shoe, and just getting it for friction purposes might be a little costly. I used to get blisters on the back of my feet every time I wore flat shoes, and I have 100% solved this problem with a very simple solution, and that solution is socks. You can't really wear normal socks with flat shoes. They're designed to go with sneakers. I would go sockless with my flats, and that would cause all the friction. One day I was buying flats at this fancier kind of shoe store, and at checkout, this was still when I was in Brazil, and at checkout I found these socks, which are appropriate for shoes and not just sneakers, and I overpaid ridiculously for them. They were very expensive, but at the end of the day it was totally worth it, because as soon as I started wearing them, I eliminated all of the blisters from my footwear. I do encourage you to get the ones that have silicone right here at the heel so that they don't slide off. But it's a great solution. These are inexpensive. Nowadays, I have a lot more of these socks than I actually have normal sneaker socks. And I think it's a really great investment, and it will save your feet from so many blisters. I was buying them only in nude, but now I also started buying them in black for my black shoes. So definitely recommend it. I don't know about you, and this might be a little bit too much information, but I have really sweaty feet. And when I didn't used to wear socks with my shoes, I would have shoes that smelled so bad that I literally had to throw them away. Nothing I did could get rid of the smell. It didn't matter if I put them in the washing machine, I could use baby powder on them. I tried deodorant and those shoe inserts for Stinky sneakers. None of that helped, and I would eventually have to throw them away because they were just gross. So another advantage of wearing socks with your flats is that they absorb all the sweat. You can simply put them in the wash and your shoes are saved. Sweat will also cause your shoes to deteriorate faster, so it's also a way to preserve your shoes for a lot longer, and it definitely has worked for me in that sense. Let me know down in the comments if you're going to be using any of these hacks in your day-to-day life. Subscribe if you want to see more content on everyday fashion like this video right here. Thanks for the like, and I'll see you next time.